I don't. Okay. Um, welcome to the May 8th meeting of Parks and Rec Commission in Canaan. We will start by doing roll call. Doug Murphy, George Bennington.
Francesca Segala.
Keith Ritchie.
Sue Leoni.
Ken Purple.
Amanda Turner.
Hank Green. Thank you. We have a quorum. First order of business is to approve the minutes from our April 10th meeting. I'd like to thank Hank for chairing that in my absence. Is there a motion to approve? Motion seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, can you just say your name with the roll call?
Lindsay Karen.
Okay, and have you voted?
Thank
Thank you. Didn't miss my vote. No. Next on the agenda is an update on the parking lot. Tiger, all yours.
Thank you very much for having me. You're gonna go? All right, so, yeah, so we're gonna talk a little bit about the western parking lot of Waving. So if you're facing the house, okay, it's the one to the right-hand side. It's the western side of the house. That's the one where cross country kind of meets right next to it underneath the trees. It's kind of a kidney shape, if you will, not very efficient. When the house, back when we put the parking lot in, the parking lot was actually supposed to be double the size. So if you take what's there and you make a mirror image of it, that's how big it was supposed to be. So it was supposed to expand into the lawn a little bit further. And at the time, the town fathers said, we don't want to do that. We want to keep it. We're going to cut it. So you basically have basin parking on one side, kind of an aisle, and then you would have had basin parking on the other side. They got rid of it, you know. That's why it's so inefficient, if you will. So this is a plan of it. I'm gonna make it a little bit better for you so you can actually see it. Right, you want to hit the next one? Okay, so in the green, this is what's proposed, and in the gray is what's existing. Okay, so you can see that they almost overlap each other, if you will. There's about 1,000 square feet of additional impervious area that would be pavement or sidewalk, but it's predominantly this sidewalk here. This green sidewalk here is predominantly the additional pavement. But you can see how in this kidney shape, it wants to behave the way the regular lot behaves, if you will, okay? 90-degree parking face in is the most efficient. So you have 9 by 18 stalls and a 24-inch lane in the middle, and everybody can come in and come out and navigate. So they had it right, except if they had flipped it over, you would have had parking, right? They would actually, almost quadruple what they have. Here, what we're looking at is we've got about 20, I say approximately because you've got a certain amount on this lane here, and then a couple that you can squeeze in. And you know how people kind of squeeze in there, and sometimes they squeeze in to the point where you actually can't get out of a space, a true space, if you will. All right, we're gonna have to talk fast. I did that on purpose. So in essence, what we have is we're trying to make it much more efficient. So we have 29 standard planned with 3 disabled. We had 20 with 2. Okay, and then there's the possibility of an additional 6 if we want to continue the parking lot a little bit further, if you will. I don't think it hurts if I have a couple of additional spaces myself. And that was factored into the additional 1,000 square feet.
The mansion's down this way.
Mansion's right here.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the walkway coming in to the western
Yes.
walkway here, and then here's the portico share, and the drive underneath. Okay, so this kind of gives you where the house is. So this is kind of Waveney Road is up here.
Yep.
All right, and then across the way where those green lines up above, that's actually a sidewalk that connects to the parking lot at the softball fields. Okay, right next to the soccer fields and the softball fields. So the thought is that we'll have connectivity from this parking lot, from the house to this parking lot, and then basically across, and we're gonna have a crosswalk to get across the street, and then connectivity there. So if you have overflow parking, if you need overflow parking for an event at the house, we can actually park here and then safely cross the street and then walk into the house on an accessible route. Okay, so an accessible route from the ADA is basically it's got to be firm and stable. And it's got to have a certain cross slope and a certain grade. And so the accessible spaces that we have in the other lot, you could utilize and then still access the house on the exact same route. So this is our overall thought. As part of the plan, we want to remove 6 or 7 Norway maples. They're considered an invasive species, all right? So our tree ward's been trying to get rid of them. We like sugar maples, we like other maples, but the Norway we do not like. And we hope that that's gonna kind of open up this view shed in here and then have us take a look at the rest of the trees that are in there, the Katsuras and a couple of others, and the Conservancy would like us to do the exact same thing, right? So we hired Keith Simpson to do this plan. He's done a very nice job. And we also hired Keith to do the playground layout and then a view of all the trees around the house. So we have this kind of the same view, if you will, same landscape architect taking a look at the entire facility. And then there's overlap. So that's what we wanted. So since there's overlap between the two, we get a little bit of a cohesive design. So we get a cohesive design from the playground through the parking lot to the house and then all the trees in the surround. So that's the overall thought. You know, we have to, there's several jumps from here, if you will. Okay, so with your blessing, I can then move off the sketch phase to the design phase where I have to then calculate, get the grades correct, cross slopes and grades, what have you, for the accessible route, and then go to P and Z. Bless you, because that's going to be that'll be an 8-24 review. That's a state statute as to whether or not it fits with the plan of conservation and development. And it should, okay, because it's inside the plan of conservation and development is basically maintaining excellence in our parks, okay, and in our facilities. That's one of the bullet points in the POCD. That's exactly where we're at. Bless you. So we go to P and Z, we get approval from P and Z, and then finalize the plan based upon any comments they might have, go to bid and move forward. Right now, we're not looking at any of that until next season, if you will. So next season being next spring. You know, so there's ample time for other comments, other suggestions, what have you, as we work our way through. And when the plan finalizes, after we've taken these couple of jumps, we'll come back and show you, okay, this is where it's at. We don't necessarily have plants planned. We have a couple of plants planned in here, but they're on the plan. What we want to do is build it and then fill it with landscaping versus saying we're going to have a tree here and then it doesn't necessarily fit in the real world once we get done with the construction. So we have a plan for what we would like to see here, but we're not married to anything at the present. Yeah.
Tiger, are any of the trees, I'll call on the left side there, there's some kind of big shade trees on the left, you know, well out of, you know.
At present, if you look, we're not really trying to affect any of them because if you look, here's the pavement line, right?
Right, yeah.
So that pavement line, and here's our new pavement line, which we're almost exactly on top of it. So no. I think that there's one tree over there that's not doing quite well. That on the tree master plan, they have it being removed. And we have another one that I think they wanted to relocate another tree down in here, but no. Overall, no. We're trying to, what the overall thought is that as you're driving up from Lapham Road, the parking lot appears, if you will, right? You're kind of surprised by the parking lot, and that's what we want. We don't want you to be able to see it from far away. We want you to drive up and say, there's got to be a parking lot here somewhere. Here it is. That's basically the way it is now. You can kind of come upon it. So that's exactly the view that we want as we're driving up the road, is that you come upon a parking lot, if you will. So that's the overall thought and the overall goal. It is a dead end, but there's nothing we can do about it. We can't make a turnaround. We don't want to make a turnaround. So we have a little bit of a turning area here, and we have a designated area for the dumpster, should we choose to put the dumpster there. But our primary thing is to get the accessible spaces have to be as close to the building as possible, because this is our accessible route into the house, right? So these have to be here, and it fits. The whole thing fits from an accessibility standpoint, from the Department of Justice standpoint, and then I think it works for the park as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
The pathways, the sidewalk that was recently redone, that's not going to be moved anymore because they were so close to the trees, they couldn't.
Right. So, well, we had to redo it because I had a mandate from the Department of Justice to kind of make those safe and stable.
Yes.
So we had to kind of do those on an interim basis while we were working through this plan. So, but the overall thought is, yes, this portion will be removed and the walkway will be a little bit more defined coming straight into the house. And then we're deciding on a material for the walk itself. We'd like to stay away from.
Have to ruin any of the trees that are there.
No. The overall thought is that it is kind of heavy in here, and that, you know, we wanted to kind of open up the view across, but we'll take a look at that at the time. We want to remove the 6 Norway maples, 7 Norway maples, and then see, you know, what does that do for the view shed? What does that do for the trees that are there? Because the existing trees there, some are quite large and some, you know, could stay and be quite pretty, you know, but right now everybody's kind of jammed on top of each other. And no one's surviving very well, if you will. But that's our overall thought at present. You know, we're kind of still, this is the preliminary phase, if you will, the preliminary design phase, and then we'll go to final design, come back to you again, show you the final design, if there's any tweaking you want to do at that point in time. But the thought is that we'll have wood rail all the way around, and we're going to give spaces in between so that somebody coming to the 4th of July doesn't have to carry their cooler over the top of the guide rail, you know, it'll be like the wood rail that we have, if you will, right? So it'll either be a Merritt Parkway rail, which has wood with steel backing, so you won't see it, or just a wood rail, which is similar to what we have here.
I know it's early stages, but for the next update, I would love to see a bit of a, broader area of this map, so it would be a bit more clear to see how that would connect, not just with the parking lot, but with the new playground.
Right,
And
so,
sort of see a little bit the whole flow, because, sometimes people, we say, oh, the sidewalk is, the crossing path is a bit to the left, and people just maybe dash, maybe
it's,
another
yeah,
road, so,
it's a great comment. So that's the reason why we hired the same landscape architect, so we would have a cohesive design. So the unfortunate thing is this one plan sheet, and the other plan sheet is the playground, right? So I'll ask him to kind of combine those two together. And then the thought was to then colorize it and give it to you as a rendering, so you could actually see the entire area. The only part that we don't truly have defined yet, Ryan's working on it, he's doing a great job, is the playground itself, because we're still working through the equipment, right? But we have the idea of where they're gonna be, and that's on his other plan set, and we can give you that as we finalize this and finalize that, we can give you the whole holistic view. Because the idea is that you can't necessarily see the playground from the house, right? You can see the playground from the parking lot, and then you kind of hide this parking lot as well. So try to make it so that you don't necessarily see some of the built environment. Try to make it let the park stay natural, if you will.
thank you.
You're welcome.
How many spaces is that proposing now? The total space?
Now it's 35, 38, if you will, if we build with the extra 6, right? Because it's always packed in there. Every time you go in there, it's packed, so the thought is that this is your primary parking, right? We're trying to keep people on this side, not on the service side. And when they come up, this is where they're going. And right now we're at 22. And we're trying to, we'll probably almost, we'll get to close to doubling that at that point in time, which I think is a very good thing. And I don't think it's going to be, I think it'll still be packed, if you will. I don't think it's going to be underserved, or underused, I should say.
Ryan, does this coincide with when we're breaking ground with the playground as well, timing wise? This is gonna happen in the spring of next year.
Maybe summer for the playground.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm under a little bit of a different time frame for this.
Yeah.
This has got a different mandate to it, specifically because of the accessible route, because of the accessible parking.
Right.
So I have to push this one along a little bit faster than that, but they're all, like I said, that's the reason why we hired the same guy. So whatever we decide, whatever Ryan decides on the playground, it'll be a cohesive design at that point.
Okay.
So, and then we'll try to limit it where we're not disturbing the park, with it, blowing it all up at once, blowing it up with the parking lot, blowing it up with the playground, do the parking lot, finish it, do the playground, finish it. So when you're coming in, it doesn't look like a construction zone.
Right.
Makes sense.
Slightly different topic, but now we're bringing in a little more traffic. And then with the playground happening over there too. Have you considered putting in speed bumps?
We had speed bumps, we had speed tables at one point in time. They were temporary speed tables a number of years ago, and they got ruined. They got ruined. And we've been trying to see if we could do other traffic calming measures without getting to a speed table again, if you will. We're trying to do that townwide.
It's going through, they tear through there.
It's parents in the morning too, but yeah, I won't say it's not. I still think the traffic flow coming from the high school into the park, in the morning, it's helped out incredibly at South and Farm and alleviated a lot of that traffic. It's just we need to make them drive a little bit slower. And our thought is that we're gonna continue to plant along it and then try to maintain the plants that we have so that it maintains that curvature so that it gives its own traffic calming effect where we don't have to. I do have to strike the crosswalks that they didn't get striped last year at the end of the year when we repaved. So I've got to strike those this year, and that should help a little bit. And then we'll take a look again we are trying to stay away from speed tables and speed humps, because the moment I start putting them in the parks, then I get probably 10 requests a year in our road network. And the
Oh.
moment I start putting them here, they're gonna say, well, you put them in Waveney, I wanna see them on my road.
I'm just really seeing one on either side of convention because these new parking lots are going to
Mhm.
have traffic coming in and out and people trying to cross the crosswalk. So it's like
Yeah.
frightening.
They're, they're good and bad, if you will, because what happens is you get what's considered an increase in incremental speed. Okay, so in between the humps, the speed actually increases. So you drive fast over it, over it, that kind of thing. So the incremental speed between it increases because everyone knows exactly how long it takes you to drive through Waveney. If it takes you 37 seconds to drive through Waveney, you understand it's 37 seconds. You're going to drive 37 seconds. So you're going to drive faster, slow, right? So it's really not what we want to do. So, and then, the fact that they aren't the prettiest, the park's gorgeous, parks guys are doing a great job maintaining it and putting those in with the requisite signage. Gets a little bit harder. It'd have to have signs fore and aft, signs at it, and then striping to and from. And it starts to get a little much, if you will. I don't even want to stripe the park. We're having to stripe certain areas like the parking lots and a couple of crosswalks and I'm trying to keep as much paint out. I don't want to put more paint in, if you will. So so we'll look and continue to try to see if we can't come up with something a little bit more imaginative, I guess, would be the best way to describe it.
Any other questions for Tiger?
I have one, but it has nothing to do with this. Is it your guys that are working in Mead Park and the entryway to Briscoe?
Yes, yeah. So-
Are we covering that in the Mead Park thing? Because if not, I'd like to hear, you tell me
I
what's
can-
going on.
I can tell you what's going on, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah. But you're gonna ask about paving a certain road, because that's usually, again, so, Laney Construction, Peter Laney Construction is working on both Bristow and the entrance from Mead Park to the baseball fields to Bristow, if you will. So what's happening is we had to create an accessible route from the Mead Park parking lot to the baseball field, okay, the back baseball field, and then to the park itself. The upper reaches, the grades were too much as you came up along the railroad tracks. So we had to make another path along the backside of the baseball
Yeah.
field, which actually works,
seen it. Yeah.
Right. That's gonna be flexi paved. So similar to material that was at Irwin, that is at Irwin, that's going to be, that's what that's gonna be. So right now it's a stone base. The flexi pave installers will be here within the month, we're hoping. And then they're gonna come back forward and take care of that. So it'll be a nice brown color, similar to what is at Irwin. So it'll kind of match and blend in. It'll be wide enough for the parks guys to get in and out. And then a good grade for people to then be able to traverse all the way down to the baseball field and get to Bristow. And then inside Bristow was a combined project, if you will, Bristow and this work. So the thought is that in Bristow, they've been doing some additional trail work, some additional planting, and then they put in a new grotto, okay, that has a statue in it of I forgot his original name, but it's St. Francis of Assisi, but he had a name before he became St. Francis. So, but a St. Francis, and they just planted they planted the stone yesterday, and then the statue will come. But it's a nice little grotto off of, so if you're coming in from 106, you come in, the pond is on your left. You pass by the Cam Hutchins Meadow, and then there's this little grotto that you can kind of visit and sit. It's very quiet in there. So that's that work. All that work in Bristow should wrap up within the month. And then we're hoping that we just have some punch list work and then for the celebration in September, if you will. And the only other work we have is that, interestingly enough, Lonnie Construction won the sidewalk from Park Street to Bristow with the pull-off area. So he'll come and do that after. We're waiting for the state encroachment permit because it's 106 is a state road. Once we get that encroachment permit, he'll go over there and do that work. So it's kind of working its way from Mead all the way out to Bristow to Old Stanford Road and doing it all in one shot. And our goal is to have everything done before September 8th. And then, so you can, you'll be able to go to the park in the parking lot or walk to it, if you will, and then go to the celebration and just use Bristow and Mead. So that's it at present.
Any other questions for the Tiger?
Yeah, I have one. So in Kiwanis Park,
Yeah.
when you come in, you have the main driveway. And Francesca and I was thinking it'd be kind of nice to have a walkway to the right of the driveway. Which could be composite, it could be gravel, just something. So that when you come off the road that Kiwanis is on, you wouldn't have to be walking on the driveway. You could have this, and it seems like there's enough room there to put a walkway.
So you're talking as you come in off Old Norwalk Road, you bang a right into the park and along that edge.
Yeah,
That whole edge could
Yeah.
have a sidewalk that matches,
Mhm.
that touches the other.
Right, we could,
On Norwalk.
right, it would, at that point in time, be a connectivity. We could take a look at that and see, what's the art of the possible there. Like, at present, I gotta see exactly how much room I got between the neighbors, on that access way, what
yeah,
have you, and see what we've got. We can take a look at that and see if
Okay.
it's, if it's a
Okay,
nice
come
way to
back.
get into the park.
remind you.
That's fine, it's fine, it's no problem at all.
Any other questions for Tiger? Tiger, thank you for coming.
No problem. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Margaret, welcome.
Hi.
Good to
thank
see you again.
Thank you. I'm up.
All right, you're up.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Margaret Riley. I'm the Executive Director of the YMCA. And thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening and to tell you about our work at Kiwanis Park with our Camp Wi-Fi and the swim lessons we're offering at the Steve Banfield Pool. Both we're very proud to be doing in partnership with the rec department and the town. So whenever I come here, I always start with a year. And the year is 1955. That was the first year of Camp Wi-Fi. So the YMCA just celebrated its 70th anniversary, and we started Camp Wi-Fi in our first operational year, so 69 years ago. We actually started Camp Wi-Fi before we even had a building, before we even had property. It was one of the first programs that we offered, so we've been doing it for a long time. And those of us who are still working and involved in Camp Wi-Fi feel really proud to have inherited such an important, long-standing and impactful program. And we're very proud of our partnership with the town in delivering that camp. I was thinking the other day that literally tens of thousands of kids have been to Camp Wi-Fi. And if you came in as a 6-year-old in our first year, you'd be 75 years old. 74 is a nice that's strange. Yeah, we hired a new CFO with the Y last summer, and he was a Camp Wi-Fi alumnus. So it's nice to see it go full circle and those children become adults and stay in our community, which is really nice. I think the beauty of Kiwanis, or one of the beauties of Kiwanis, is that it's so woodsy, right? So it really gives you an authentic camp experience when you're there. You feel like you are, in the middle of New Hampshire or Vermont. You don't feel like you're a mile away from the Merritt Parkway. And we have camp songs and camp traditions and camp cheers and a camp mascot, and camp mail and a camp store. So you really feel like you're at an authentic camp somewhere in the middle of the Northeast when you're at Camp Wi-Fi. And we're really happy to be able to deliver that experience to the community's children. We do 4 sessions each summer. They're 2-week sessions. And so we start on June 24th this year, and we'll go through August 16th. Our hours are 9 to 4. There is the option for an extended day for some campers, so campers can be there as early as 8 o'clock and as late as 5:30 in the evening. We serve approximately 500 campers each summer. Ages range from 6 to 15, so it really goes the whole gamut of sort of school-age children. They include campers, leaders in training, counselors in training, and our counselors. We include swim lessons for everyone who comes to camp. It's not a separate fee. If you come to camp, you learn to swim in the pond. It's actually, the pond provides a nice dark water experience for children. Having that sort of gradual entry and a dark water experience is not something that everybody gets to experience often. So it's nice to know, even if you have a backyard pool, you may not have been ever in a pond or a lake. So it's nice that we can have that right here in our town. We every year have approximately 40 campers with special needs, and those campers are provided aids at no additional cost. So Y does its best to keep the price of camp the same for children who require aids and as affordable for their families as it is for every other family. We have a director of inclusion and support services. She is our full-time director for special needs programming. She's at camp every day, all day. We also have a nurse that's at camp all day, every day. We employ about 70 teenagers every summer. It's funny to see them come and pass my office to go to our HR and try to figure out what direct deposit means and company how to fill out their tax forms. But we actually take The opportunity to provide that first employment experience as important a camp and a youth engagement program as we do providing camp. Having people come in and learn, you know, how to deal with an HR office, how to deal with a supervisor, how to work together, is really also a great experience to deliver to our young teens. The Y provides approximately $50,000 in financial assistance every year to campers. So families who cannot afford to send their children to camp can apply to the Y for financial assistance, and our donors help to make that possible. New this year, we're going to be bringing back some field trips for campers who are third grade and older. They'll be doing things like ropes courses and escape rooms, and offering more on-site special events for our younger campers, things like laser tag. We're offering also for the first time this year, campers the opportunity to purchase a prepared lunch and have it delivered to them at camp. So at the Y, we have a cafe, and the vendor who runs that cafe will be taking orders for lunches from camp families and then delivering them to our camp so that the campers will have a lunch there for them. It's one less thing for their families to figure out and get in place every morning, especially those Monday mornings, right? So get in place so they can order those lunches and have them ready for them. As I think you all know, we have a lease agreement with the town. It's a 3-year lease. This is our second year of that 3-year lease. So we have this summer and then next summer. So that's, and I think most of you are familiar with the camp and how the Y occupies a small portion of the camp for part of the day, right? So our use is not exclusive. We don't occupy the initial pavilion when you pull up at Kiwanis Park. We're not on that beach right in front. That's open to the town and the town residents. We don't occupy the playground. It's more the opposite side of the pond, if you will. So there's an older pavilion back there, and we use that for shade and eating meals. And then there's a sand area, obviously, and a bit of a field. There's some volleyball court where the basketball courts are. So that's the area where the Y holds its camp each day. We do so because we're a licensed camp, we're licensed by the state of Connecticut, we do have to be careful that we can't have residents come into our camp area, but that really has not been an issue for us. For instance, if you wanted to walk through Kiwanis, we would ask that you not walk back into the park where we're holding camp, but the rest of the park is available to us, and that's really strictly the state more than anything else. I wanted to share with you, because I really feel that the town should take equally pride in the fact that we are providing this camp experience to families who can't afford it. So I wanted to provide a very short testimonial that we received from a family whose child was able to come to camp. They said, "Your financial assistance program made a big difference in our lives. With the assistance, we are able to have our children's membership, and they have the opportunity to attend a wonderful summer camp. They've enjoyed every moment of the Wi-Fi camp. The counselors, staff members are very professional, caring, and wonderful. With the help of financial assistance, we are able to have our child enrolled in a program that otherwise we cannot afford. We are very grateful and honored to be part of the New Canaan and the New Canaan 5. Thank you for the opportunity." So if you don't have any questions about the Wi-Fi, I'll just do a quick summary of the Steve Benko swim lessons.
Sure.
This is our second year offering swim lessons. We're offering for children ages 6 months to the age of 12. So the 6 month is a parent and child class. And we're there very early in the morning at the pool, usually when the swim team is going on. And so we are in the shallow end of the pool. I think we take every lane, and the Y we bring our instructors, we bring our guards, we bring our curriculum, we bring the gear. We just come and deliver the swim lessons to the pool. We run the registration. We try to keep the lessons very affordable. It's a 30-minute lesson, and it typically costs about $33. So it's really a great bargain. I think a lot of people like to come to the Y for the swim lessons during the fall and winter, and love the idea of having swim lessons outside in the summertime. So it's really been a great partnership and very successful.
It worked very well next year. We're looking forward to another year.
Can I ask, how many students per teacher?
So it differs depending on the age of the students, but they're really small groups. So it's probably, 4 is probably the max, because they're within 1 lane usually.
I see.
So we'll run several lanes at a time, but the groups are very small.
Thank you.
What are the enrollment projections this year, Great Camp?
About the same as last year,
Okay.
so, yeah, so, and we run. The max that we can do according to our lease is 170 campers per session. And so we'll typically have some sessions that are at max and some that are not. So we're between, I would say, 550, 600 campers a summer, and they're usually the max.
And of that number, approximately how many are Buchanan residents?
The majority are New Canaan residents, but we don't require that people be New Canaan residents. So even, for membership with the Y, you don't have to be a resident, right? So, yeah, I would say at least 2/3, are New Canaan residents. And probably the vast majority of those who are working there are New Canaan residents.
I spoke with Davey Sedell about a perpetual problem of the geese,
Yeah.
the spoiling the pond, and John, I think probably it's just it's a problem without a solution, is that?
Actually, I have good news in that. We were able to hire, as of today, we have the, Geese Patrol coming in to keep them moving. They really don't live there at the pond. It's different than Mead Park, but we need to keep them moving during this time of the year. Last year, we missed the window, and when geese molt, they can't fly. Once that happens, you're stuck.
No, but what is geese patrol? Probably everybody else knows.
It's actually Geese Relief is the name of the company. They come in with border collies. In a case like Kiwanis, they might bring in a remote control boat, but they'll be down there twice a day at different times of the day. Basically 7 days a week, and they're not gonna let them stay. They're not gonna let them move in. They're gonna chase them someplace else, that's all. They do not touch the geese, they do not hurt the geese. Everything they do is PETA approved.
And so, thank you, and I have just another question for you, Mark, if you don't mind. Also, David talked about how critical it is to have lifeguards. And is that an issue trying to get lifeguards?
Recently it has been an issue with Y. This time of year though, thankfully, and I'm sure John's experiencing the same thing for the pool. You get a lot of kids coming home from college who want to be lifeguards, and school is ending for high schoolers, so they're available for more shifts. So I think in the past week, we probably hired an additional 10 lifeguards, and we expect to be comfortable with the level that we need for the summer.
Thank you, thanks so much.
I have a question. But I guess I'll start off with, what is your relationship with Betty Lovenstick?
We're neighbors. She lives at Kiwanis.
She's on.
Oh, she is. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't know that. So we live nearby each other. I live on Marvin Ridge Road, and I know she lives right at, near Kiwanis Park.
Yeah, she, sent us a letter with a number of points, and most of them have to do with the Y camp. Have you seen her letter? Because it was originally prepared, on October the 10th, 2023.
Some of her points I've met with Betty, and some of her points I've talked with Davey about,
Okay.
so.
Okay, so it's too much really to go through considering the time constraints we have, but, I want to make sure you get a copy of that.
Okay, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions from Robert? Well, we thank you for coming, and really, heartfelt thanks for the great work that you guys are doing.
My pleasure.
Excellent over the summers.
Thank you for this partnership. It's really wonderful. You're doing a lot of good things for our town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, next on the agenda is Patricia. Is she still here or is she?
He's out there, he's on the phone.
Would you like to fill in?
Get out of here.
Okay, sorry about that. Doing my other civic duty. Are you ready? We have this.
Yeah.
Okay. You can blame your other selectman, I wasn't even working. So, anyway, I'm helping a little bit at the moment. Okay, so Patricia Squidani from Town Finance of New Canaan, thank you once again for having us come and talk to you about what we're doing at the firehouse. So I'm just giving you an update, and I think you should all have a copy. You think of this as a mini annual report from us to all of you. I'm happy to take any questions, and yep, so very good. So I'm here mostly to happily report that we are doing well. We are healthy, as an organization. We are having record-breaking season again. Last year we did really well. This year we're maintaining. We tried different kinds of shows this year than have been done in the Powerhouse to attract a broader audience base, wider demographic, not to lose our traditional audience, but also to attract younger audiences. So we did a rock musical called Toxic Avenger in the fall, right after we did The Fantastics. So we went from absolutely classic, longest running musical in Broadway history to something that was pretty much a cult classic, which I wasn't familiar with, but was very successful in terms of getting different group of people here in town than we had before. You can, and then we went on to a Christmas show, which sold out. And we had, most of you know here, Bob Dorn in town, or whose grandsons were both in it. And I think his family filled up half the theater for the run. But we had we had 6 kids in it from here, Westport and Norwalk and Darien. And it was great. And it was a lot of fun. So that was very successful, and we got another nice Christmas show planned next year. Then we went on to Puffs, which was about the wizard kid who came up and named Harry Potter. And that was also very successful. Big kids who read the books to their kids and grandkids came and enjoyed it, and then we had youngsters showing up in costume. So, whatever floats your boat, and we're just happy to see people enjoying it. Then we do in between our shows, we try to do other kinds of programs. And there were 2 women who are in local community theater out of Fairfield, happened to have done some exchange program over the last 25, 30 years with students in Russia and Ukraine. And when the war broke out, they decided to put their experience with these families to use, and they wrote a story based on the communications between the families called Words from the Front. And with that, we took all the ticket sales and gave it to them, and they donate the money back to a UNICEF fund for kids in Ukraine. So that was good. It wasn't on the scale of what we did the year before with ordinary people, but we were happy to contribute to the broader global community with that program. And then we've got Bobby Troop coming back in a couple of weeks to do a one-man show about his dad this year. Instead of about his stories about his father, Papa Troop. So we're, our community is big and wide and deep, and we're trying to touch as many different people as possible. And then our last show of the season is going to be Eurydice, which is based on the Greek myth. And it's an award-winning play from Sarah Rule. So it's based on the myth of Eurydice and Orpheus. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. Right now, we've got 1 weekend left for Alice in Wonderland. And as I like to say, this is not your daughter's Alice. It's an avant-garde version based on a version that was done in the 70s as experimental theater in New York City. And it's doing really well. But again, it's attracting different people. So by zip code, I can see who purchased tickets. And usually we've got 50 to 60% New Canaan residents. Local, this is about 15 to 20%. But we've got people from New York City. We've got people from Westchester. We've had a couple family members come from New Hampshire last weekend. So we've got a broader mix of people coming to New Canaan. And because we anticipated this, we said it's time to do something a little different. So I went and knocked on the door of Gates and Cava and said, well, you're 2 of my favorite restaurants to eat at in town. Would you want to put a pre-theater menu together? So for all those people that are coming from out of town, we will promote you, and you'll put up these nice postcards and promote the play. And we're doing it, and it works. It's been working pretty well. I think they're both very happy to do that. So it's good. And I hopefully will continue doing that. So we didn't charge them. They didn't charge us. It's just we're mutually beneficial. And it's been really nice because our cast has been going to both restaurants every weekend. So they've been getting 14 people for dinner, pizza, whatever, for 2 nights. And if nothing else, that's been good. But I know there's other families that have gone because in Cava on Saturday night, one of the families came up to me and said, I just wanted to tell you this was really good. And we're eating here before we go to New Hampshire back home. So I know it's been working well. And then the other thing we did different this year, we value the relationship we have with the town. We asked Deanna, I said it right, we asked Deanna if she would write a letter for us, which we put in the program. And, you know, we plagiarized like everyone else. Westport Playhouse does this for their community theater, and we said, you know, that's a really nice touch to have a message from the first celebrity. So we will make that a new tradition in our program. So I've got actually, everybody wants to see what we did.
Yes.
We can share.
So for this weekend coming, we're just about sold out. I think we've got Friday and Saturday, between Friday and Saturday night, we've got, I think, 6 seats. And Mother's Day, which I can appreciate, we've got about 20 seats, but otherwise we're doing really well.
That's great.
So come Sunday, you're gonna book all of your own.
Right.
How are we on the campus improvements? I know which has been a very big topic that we've discussed over the
Right.
last couple of years. I appreciate the synopsis. When do you think you're put the shovel in the ground, put it that way? Launch it's.
I can also tell you, so partly because our shows are doing well, but our fundraising's been going well. We've raised our goal for what I would describe as phase 1 of the project.
Right.
Which is for the lobby improvements, the bathrooms, and converting the potting shed into our office. So the architects, along with Tiger, I don't know if he was able to join back, are preparing the bid documents. And I know you're doing some building assessment as well of the potting shed. So really the ball's in their hands. So once we have the bid documents ready to go, then the cycle will kick in. And fingers crossed, arms crossed, toes crossed, legs crossed, the bid's not going to come back significantly more than what we raised.
Okay.
Right, so, which is over $1 million between the town's contribution and ours. So I feel really good about that, you know, we're in a good place. And Tiger mentioned Keith Simpson doing the landscaping around the main house. He's also doing the landscaping for the courtyard. And that's not quite final either. So I think once we have all the documents together, then, you know, we'll have them at the theater and maybe anybody's welcome to stop by and see them.
Right. I mean, that's been on, because there's no question that facility needs a major upgrade. A couple times I've been in there. So I would encourage it, you know, keep everyone's feet to the fire to keep this ball moving down the field.
It's important to us, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're still raising money for the annex for the education center, which is phase 2. And if we have showing progress on phase 1, it'll make it a whole heck of a lot easier to.
Sure. And phase 1 needs it badly.
Indeed. Couldn't agree with you more.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Is
So,
there anything we can do to help that along? Is there anything we can do to help that along?
Minus 20 tickets on Sunday.
Yeah, there you go.
really good. Yeah, right. I appreciate the offer. I think, Tiger and town are doing what they need to be doing. No complaints. I think Carl and Rose have been busy doing, the Rothbarts have been busy doing a number of projects for the town, including the one downtown. So I think, you know, they're juggling priorities.
Right.
But I'm really pleased with the design so far. And the biggest question still is what the bathroom zones are going to look like. Because we're going back and forth between the public building, but it's municipality, right, of the private. It's not private because it's a county building, and whether or not the bathrooms need to or can be gender neutral. Excuse me. So I think we're pretty close to finalizing the design, but
Yeah.
that's what I needed to check out with Tiger. Otherwise, we're looking really good for our season for next year. So I put that in here. We've got we do 6 main shows a year, 9 performances of each, so that's 54 nights absolutely committed. And then, we do a lot of other things. This summer, from the middle of June through Labor Day weekend, we're gonna be busy every day. And we've got a kids program for the first time in there probably in 10 years for 6 weeks. And we're partnering with the Open Arts Alliance at Greenwich to run that program for us. But we're really happy it's gonna be here in New Canaan at the Powerhouse Theater. And they're doing the 5 shows that are in here. So that'll bring 20 kids per show, so over 100 kids with their parents from all over Fairfield County to see their shows. So we're happy about that. And then in August, we are hosting a organization called Broadway Bound, which put out a request for proposal from playwrights across the country. And we've got 7 playwrights after all is said and done, after all the plays were curated of new shows that are going to be produced on our stage for the first time and get their premiere in August. And so we think that's pretty cool. Including one of them is an instructor at the Silvermine Arts Guild. So we're pretty happy about that. He's been taking acting classes with us and he was pretty stoked about getting his play produced. So we're happy, we're doing a lot of different things, more than I think the Powerhouse has ever done. And hence we really need this improvements because our ability to add programming is limited without having the extra space in Marcus.
And it's old, it's tired, it needs the.
Right, so I think you all would be as excited as we would be to get the annex renovated and updated and be able to take advantage of the view off the back that we described, having the wall of glass. Hopefully we can get the structural piece of questions answered on putting the deck off the back, that we can make that happen with the stone wall off the back, but I think that would be a great addition to the entire park and the campus.
Right.
I hoped that Hillary would be here tonight, because one of the things that we are both making a concerted effort to do is to cross promote programs and to do things together. So we're actively supporting the arts program at not program, but the arts event here. It worked out great for us last year. We had an open house. We had about, 100 people come that haven't ever been to the theater to see it. That was good. On occasion, we've needed to use the carriage barn for rehearsal space, so that's been great. And just, just like, here's the keys. And that works, and we're planning an event at the theater in the fall that she thinks would work better on our stage than there. So we really want that whole space to be known as more of this is where you go for the arts in New Canaan. Come to Liberty.
Unfortunately, she can't be here tonight. An unexpected conflict came up because we're hosting some event.
Right.
So.
Okay, but it's all part of what we're trying to do is just to make sure we're working with as many groups as possible. We hosted the realtors, New Canaan Realtors group there, just to expose them to the arts here in New Canaan, so that went really well. Although the realtors had lived in New Canaan a really long time, they've never been in the theater. So it's good to get the word out. And then when we get postcards for next season, we'll hand them a bunch and they can put them all in their brochures for prospective buyers. So,
This
So,
is very, thank you. Oh, yes.
I brought my wife, so I get to talk. I'm asking something from this group, well, sort of incorrectly, too, is we love our park. Everybody knows that, right? We overuse the heck out of it in some times. And we don't always know that. And so we coordinate as close as we can with our neighbors, the carriage barn. But we have miniature little parking lots down there. They're nothing. I mean, we can fill those up with the weakest show that we've got.
Just with the.
And we don't know what else goes on in that place, and I said, do we have a joint calendar someplace? Really don't, from what I've seen coming out of the big house, coming down, so it'd be nice to have that, so we can get that. Little things that helped us, and Tiger left here, but was to get the lights under control, and I don't know if anybody noticed that. There was no lights last winter, periodically, and they've gone through those with Darien Electric, I guess, and fixed up a lot of those. But that's critical, because we have stairways and everything else, because you're in this upper parking lot coming down to our place, it was into the dark. And so we did some things to try to lighten it up from our place, but, so those were two important things, but it is interesting.
Keep going. It'd just be, there's the parking, the row of cars, the parking area that's right by the house. To the left where like the kitchen is, and there's town trucks are parked there on the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So it would be,
Yeah,
I
we-
don't know what the options are, but that would be very convenient parking for people.
We
coming to
we
see a
became
show.
the town parking lot. I don't know when that happened, but for the last couple of years, we've got some stuff that doesn't even move. They got an old parking meter truck and all this kind of stuff sitting up there. Anyway, those are questions, not so much for you guys, but, we gotta use what we've got. When Tiger said they're expanding a lot to the west, about time, and, so that'll be a nice addition too. But,
The parking lot you're talking about, it's occupied, is the one right to the right of the Tower House? Where you're.
No.
no,
It's actually at the
The one
same
up
level
and
as the mansion.
yeah,
Like a service up
it's
there.
just to the west of the mansion.
So where the new, area was landscaped for
The
the,
dumpster.
They renovated it, but you're right, they put all these trucks there now.
right,
Well, that area, but this is, the Tiger was talking about is on the west side.
right,
Right.
but.
I know.
we're-
So, we're talking about the other side where they're renovating it and for weddings and stuff. So we get a wedding in next door, let's say, especially if it's I guess we no longer call it the Rose Garden, but whatever garden it is there. Now they come in with their truckloads full of chairs and everything else, and they sit in our parking lot and they don't park trucks nice and neat, they take out
Yeah.
20 spots and
Yeah.
just coming in there. But we don't hear about it. We hear about none of that. Nobody approaches us, not that we own the parking lot, but Hillary and ourselves coordinate as close as we can so that we know we're gonna fill up the lot. Yeah, so are we. And let's figure this out. And if anybody's driven into our lot at night that doesn't know their way around, you guys all know your way around in there. It's hard to figure because the signs are dark at night. There's no lights on them. So we have trouble for people finding the place, and we kind of sit down in.
Oh, okay. I appreciate your comments. I think we're getting a little
Yeah,
off topic here.
yeah.
So, I mean, I think, John, I see you taking some notes on this, and we can follow up on that part. But Patricia, is there any questions or other questions for Patricia? Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate the great work
I
that you're
appreciate
doing, and good luck with these renovations. They're exciting.
And if we have, hopefully it's not another year before I'm here talking about it, because I looked at them, I'm like, really, it's been 2-3 years since we started.
Bring the shovel in.
Yes.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Great, thanks so much.
All right,
As I mentioned earlier, Hillary could not make the night due to unexpected conflict. So we will start with the yearly reports on parks, and Doug, you are up first with Irwin.
Great, thank you, George. So if nobody's been to Irwin lately, it was a spectacular spring as far as just flowers, just blossoming apple trees. John's group has been just killing it with the maintenance. And it just so happens that like every time I walk around the corner, there's somebody doing something. So it's well noted. And it certainly is a real beautiful place to hang around. When I walk on the paths, I see just gobbles of people. So the paths are being used. They're being used by a lot of folks. I talked to John a little bit about the moss that has accumulated on some of the parks. And he's gonna see what he can to mitigate that. It's only in certain areas, but it's something that we probably should at least look to address. Not only are people using the trails, they're also using the actual, the grassy areas. I've seen people out there with picnics, I've seen people out there reading books on, nice looking days. So the whole park is being used, it's not just the trail itself. With that said, also, there has been no real progress as far as the walkway in the back, the raised walkway that the garden club is gonna be putting in. I'm assuming they're still in the fundraising stages of that. It's gonna be a great piece of facility back there once it's done. It'll just be another reason to go to the back of the property. So, we're looking forward to seeing that thing come through. The knotweed is back, obviously, so I'm sure you're aware of that. But it seems to be flourishing back there as well. One of the things that is a big project that's going on now, John walked me through the barn as you come in to the right-hand side, which we use for a lot of storage for equipment and whatnot. So John let me know that they were gonna put a roof on, but in order to put a new roof on, they had to do structural changes inside the building. So we walked through the entire building and they've now got steel girders in there, so it's up to code. So the roofers felt like it was okay to start, which they have started. And so there'll be a brand new roof on the barn, and it's a great facility. One thing I was unaware of, there are a bunch of apartments in there. Granted, they're run down, they haven't been used in years, but it's actually a really big building, when you actually walk through the things, as far as that goes. One of the things that I did want to point out, in my little jaunts around the property, that I really haven't done much of, but walking around the main building gives me a little pause. It needs help. I've noticed rotted wood on the side of the building. There's a lot of peeling paint. If you go to the back where I know the garden club was looking to do some work back there, in addition to their walkway, there's just rusted, metal and poles and things like that. So I think if we're gonna be, good keepers of that building, something should at least, we should get a plan in place or, at least think about that and keep the dialogue open, because the rot that I saw is minimal right now, but that only gets worse as we go into this. Overall, I mean, the park itself is vibrant, it is beautiful, and, I love spending time with it, so. That's it.
Great, Doug, thank you.
Do you have anything to add, John, with the project?
Not really.
Okay.
We're looking at how we could do some of that maintenance of the house itself in-house, so to speak. Maybe with some summer help. Some of it needs some paint.
Right.
But when you get into rotten wood and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out how to get some of it done.
Because it's a beautiful building.
Planning and zoning still in there? Are there
Right.
offices still in there? Is that?
No, there's a nonprofit in there.
You can't hear us.
You can't hear us.
Yeah, and town's IT,
IT department is in the garage apartment to the right of the house, to the
Right.
base of the house.
Yeah.
So they're in that,
so,
And then it's storage in the barn.
storage in the barn. That's why there's those two big containers on the edge of the field, that's all our off-season equipment per se.
Yeah, they have like turf in there, so if there's a piece of turf that needs to be, at least they have a storage facility in order to keep it dry and.
I think the CERT is keeping some stuff in there while the police department's being renovated, is that correct?
You're right, they're actually even they're using the kitchen as a classroom for when they need to have small meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's good, because we've talked about this in a previous meeting, is that we need to put some emphasis to the house to hopefully give it a practical use.
There is some money, I believe it was approved in the budget to do some work on the roof of the house,
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
Pete, did you
I was just gonna, more of a comment that, I remember where there was I was talking to a group that had an idea of the use of the house. And it kind of, it was rejected and there was good reason, but there's still like no decision made yet.
Yeah.
By the Board of Selectmen or Town Council about, do they retain that building or do they tear it down or do they allocate it for some specific use? Right now, it's like, when we get COVID, that's where you go, you get your COVID shot. And when they were talking about the police renovation, well, they're gonna put some things there. And so it's just been kind of like this extra, as you said, storage, office space, which has been very helpful for the town. But it doesn't like say, oh, we're gonna really maintain it and fix up the rotten wood and paint it and, you know, really keep it up to snuff.
Right.
It's been suffering from, it's not exactly neglect.
No.
It's more like lack of a mission.
Correction.
Correct, lack of mission, exactly.
Tiger just
That's a
texted
good
me
way of putting it.
and says there's $170,000 in the budget for some of this rotten wood and some work on evaluating the roof, that type.
Yep, absolutely. It should also be noticed that we do own Irwin Park in its entirety. We paid off the 20-year note about a year and a half ago.
Oh, good.
So we own it in its entirety. I think previous administrations wanted to hold up putting any major capital until we had that debt paid off, which we do now. So, Hank, I'm sorry.
That little museum that's on the property? What-
Yeah, the horse pavilion.
Yeah, what's happening with that?
Maybe John can talk about it. I don't know, but it, I mean, at least
Under
that
the
building
Historical
looks good. from the
Historical
outside.
Society, yes. The Historical Society's in charge of it. So I don't know how much they have shows or anything else in there.
Yeah, but it's well maintained. I mean, that's.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the town spent, in conjunction with them, did a lot of work.
Any other questions for Doug? Right, so we'll move on to Whitney with Susan and Tim.
I'm gonna take the oral report. Sue and I, and John's not here, John, who gave me, we're all here kind of all the time. But, we had a great meeting with John and got some good updates, so I'm just gonna kind of skip through them. One fun fact in terms of use that we thought was interesting, according to the department, there were 260,000 visits to the park over the past year. Not individual people, but footprints, things, right? So I think that's pretty incredible for about 20,000.
How do they get counted?
Cell phone data.
Oh,
There's companies that are, taking your cell phone data, because most likely you're carrying it with you.
interesting.
So, and if you wanted to buy it, you could find out where they're from. Stuff like that, but this was just, it was a little demo. They were trying to get us to buy their data. We learned something.
I see.
So even though it's in the ballpark, I mean, I find that incredible, just kind of speaks for itself as far as our park. Another successful winter, it was low snow, as you know. The ice rink was a success and was expanded. Gene, thank you for your work there. Gene reported that sales doubled over last year. I know Gene's on the call. I don't know if there's anything that he wants to add to it, but it seemed like it was a really good build on from last year. Well, I'll keep going then. So Banco Pool opens Memorial Day weekend. Passes are on sale online now. The parking lot there is being repaved. The department's implemented a robotic lawnmower there that mows the grass area at night when the park is closed, so no one's there. Seems to be working well.
So far,
Does it
we're
make noise? It's okay with.
battery operated, it mows. It should have started 3 minutes ago.
I love it.
That's done.
Right, no one steals it.
Yeah.
Well, the park's closed, so no one's gonna be there. So lifeguards, it seems like there will be enough lifeguards for Banco Pool for this year, which is great. As far as sort of conservancy update, the sculpture benches that we saw on through
Yeah.
those, I know were delivered and those may been installed.
The other one was moved yesterday.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yep.
good.
So right on target for what John had mentioned might be, so those are cool. I know we were impressed by all that. The dog park is getting close to getting a new lock system. Capo Field, the varsity baseball field, the artificial turf plans are moving forward, as we know. The playground project is also moving forward. The new fitness area equipment is going to be installed first this year. And fundraising is ongoing for the rest of the playground. Women's pickup soccer has started, and that's still in its early stages, like we covered in the last meeting.
We have 29 registrants.
29.
Yes, that's very good for a program we just started. So
Right,
I'm
right.
excited.
You know, find that, yeah, I mean, it's not very public as far as I know, maybe it's, but that's. Camps are fully booked and increased from 100 to 120 this year, right? July 4th fireworks are scheduled for Saturday, July 6th, with a rain date of Sunday the 7th, a backup rain date of 13th, right? And spring programs have started. And I'm assistant coaching game softball with my daughter, and that's going great, so.
All right.
Good for you.
It's good. Proud of the report that we beat Darien, visiting Darien and hosting them, past the weekend, so.
Yeah.
So go Rams.
Terrific.
Very good.
Any questions from Tim?
Yeah, I want to hear about the new way to enter Spencer's Run. Is it a different thing or it's exactly the same?
Okay, if it's fine now, I'll talk about that. We're gonna switch out the lock system. Presently, we have codes, and unfortunately, we're not able to program new codes. So we have a problem with people not re-registering.
Right, of course.
So we're looking at purchasing a new lock system, have to go through the Board of Selectmen for approval. I don't think we'll have any problem with that, but people will have key fobs. And it will be assigned to a person. There will be a charge probably of $10 to $15 per key fob for each user. But we will know who goes in when and who goes out when. So if we have any issues with problems with dogs, we'll be able to track them that way.
Would be through your cell phone?
Not through your cell phone. It'll be a key fob that will be, yeah, similar to that, something small like that, which you'll just hold in front of the lock and it will open it up and.
Okay.
It was doggy shaped.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
Will it matter if people share them because it's still one person, one fob?
We're hoping that nobody's gonna be sharing them. So if you wanted, one person and the husband or whatever, you'd each have your own fob. So that we know exactly who's coming and going. Do we think there'll be some sharing? Of course, because people won't wanna pay for the other key fob, but.
Yeah, what if you have a dog walker who's taking your dogs to the park? Or-
I have a fob.
I know some dog walkers who take dogs.
Yeah.
I have a fob.
Well, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to have better control
Yeah.
of it, and if we have problems, this will give us the control, because
Right.
we'll be able to look back. And if we have a problem user, we can easily just go online and shut it down.
Right.
So,
Okay. Hey, Tim, you know, when you say that the capos, the artificial turf plans are moving forward, are moving along.
Right.
We never approved that though, did we, or?
We did.
We did. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, my memory is just a junk.
And then
It was a few years ago.
Yeah, I know I've seen the renderings and everything.
But
like that.
there was a recent one though.
but there was a recent one.
Well, he presented.
Mike
Right.
Right.
Okay, so that wasn't asking for.
That wasn't
No,
asking
that was something that's been approved a couple of years ago under a master plan.
Yeah.
And
My memory's not.
they got approval for it, I think.
there's money in the town budget for it, there's still working through the design phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have meetings probably every other week.
Right.
So will we vote on the design once it's completed, or?
Once they get completed, I'd like to have them back and talk to us about the sign.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, absolutely. Any other questions for Tim or Susan? Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great,
Good job.
excellent. Melanie?
Thank you. So this is my first yearly update, and so I want to thank, the board and especially, Longation and meet with me and we walk through. I would start with Dixon, this is a smaller part, and he will be a quicker update, and then we want to. I just want to say, before I start at Dixon, I discovered it's a bit of a hidden jewel in our town. Very well located, with a playground structure that is really, very kid friendly, safe, but at the same time provides an opportunity for a lot of good work. And I know we've been talking about, playgrounds, which, to gear to, help kids with sensory needs. I just find that Dixon is always what we have right now. And I would encourage everyone that knows little kids, that, want to try it out. I had a great time with my kids. And I get to feel that in being the boxes, something that we're looking forward, and at the same time complements our offerings, in town. It's something that would be a challenge level between, the two big playgrounds, the little kid playground, and the bigger kids there, and this is falls in between. It's very safe, and quiet at the same time and has great shade for the summer. And I just wanna mention this because I know it's not that well known, for people. So, I would start with the playground structure. It's in very good condition. The safety signs are also in good, excellent condition. They're very visible and legible. There are a few paint chips, that now John has on his radar, just on address, as well as some power washing that he plans to do later in the summer to improve the aesthetics. The functionality is excellent. It's just really on the side. And it's just looking to make it look a little better. But the date that we discussed about late summer is really related to the fact that there's no water running through the park. So especially the vehicle has to be deployed for power washing. So that has to be scheduled along all the other work that John has in town. Other structures, parking signs are also in great condition. The fence is in good condition. The benches are in excellent condition. And the wood chips in the playground are renewed every summer. They are specifically designed for playground safety. Otherwise, kids take off their shoes, run wild. It is in excellent condition. The grounds are beautiful. The grass, the trees, the greenery look great, and it's very well maintained. And I know John's team comes on a weekly basis to maintain those grounds. I kept an eye also on litter and garbage disposal, as I know this has come up in previous years as I look back on meetings, and there was really no evidence of litter. It's really impeccably maintained. It's not very much used, I think. There's a lot of local people and neighbors, but I do think that, and also because, there's a bit of a parking in the street, and, you get a lot of people that come in, they stay, they enjoy it, and then they go. There's no, other thing that we can do there. So I think that really helps, because there's really no litter or nothing that I could see around. Regarding Memorial Park, the playground structure is in good condition. There's a yearly maintenance that is scheduled, but John is waiting on the contractor to touch base with him because there's some parts that are needed and they're waiting on those parts, but the playground is being used, lots of kids enjoying it. The surrounding benches and tables, as well as fences and gates, are all in very good working condition. So,
In both places, both the bigger playground and the toddler one?
yes, the toddler one is the one that has the fences and the gates. The bigger playground is tucked in, but doesn't have fences or gates. Both have benches. And on that note, I've noticed, we didn't talk about this, but I did notice there are more benches in Mead Park, which really provide a lot of opportunities to not have everyone concentrate in the same areas. So you could see it next to the baseball fields, next to the pond. And there's even on Richmond Hill, there's new benches and a table. And I've seen kids, the toddlers eating a snack there. Right, and it's being used a lot, and it all seems, very well kept and maintained as well. I drive through there every day.
We had to add some more tables, handicapped accessible tables for the park itself, to meet the standards.
It seems to
But-
have been well received.
But the wooden benches you see all around the park, those are all donated benches.
Right.
But I think it does, again, people can take a walk and sort of move along the park. This does get very easy. So, I think having all those benches and having them in great condition allows for, the enjoyment of the whole, all the grounds are very, they're very large and everything is impeccable. The tennis courts, they already have been serviced, by the company. I know we talked a little bit about the company last time. They will be open to the public once the rain stops. I think it's just very much weather dependent at this time. The adult tennis program has started and it's been meeting at the high school courts. I've been participating in the program. It's my third year. I love it. It's excellent. It's very strong. It's full and there's a wait list. It's really full, really fast. Excellent instructors and very consistent year to year. The children's program has not started yet. I also have one of my kids signed up. And the reason for that is that the kids because of the schedule, they cannot use the high school courts. Those are being used by the high school kids at the time that, the kids programming is scheduled. But as soon as this, the mid park courts open, we will have the children's program start, which, could be later this week. I mean, again, it's at this point, it's very much weather dependent. The company has come and has done the service has been selected. Thank you. Pickleball. The pickleball courts have been very well received. They're very popular. They're up and running. They are open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in an effort to keep the noise levels within a reasonable timelines. There is still ongoing work to improve the parking lot that's close to the courts, the attendance shed, and the surrounding walkways, just to make this more enjoyable and appealing to everyone that comes in and wants to play again.
Is,
Question, are players respecting the time? And those?
That's a great question. I think by John maybe better to determine.
Yes, because we lock the courts up. Otherwise, people would love to be playing at 5:30 in the morning.
So it is, okay. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's a good question, but yeah, thank you, John. The baseball fields, all 3 fields, Big Field, Medic, and Gamble Little League are in good condition. All the maintenance has been done to date.
I'm sorry, can I go back and ask
Of
a
course,
question about the parking? You said the parking around the pickleball and the tennis courts, the parking in between. I know we've talked about it. Is there a date plan for that to start?
They're working through the plans still, so.
So not this summer.
I doubt it would be this summer. You really don't want it to happen this summer because then it'll be closed. I think we're much better to late fall,
Okay. Yeah.
So,
after tennis is finished.
and yes, hopefully, we'll get the plans
makes
worked
sense.
out. We have some money in the budget to replace what we call the tennis shed. We'd like it to be better than a shed,
Yeah,
but,
yeah, that's been talked about a lot.
yeah, but all that coordinating it together.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, I made a note that's computer, you can follow up on that. So yes, all 3 fields are in good condition, maintenance will be done. There's a new safety rail in the track field. It's new and in great shape. So since wherever it's all the safety, items that have been in place, that they put in place, they're all in great condition. So that's ready to be used. There's an irrigation project in place. The plan is well underway, it's close to completion. And now John's team will start receiving leads, and they are targeting to have the new system installed in the summer fall timeframe.
Because there's irrigation for the baseball field that's got grass you're talking about.
It will be for the baseball fields, it will be some of the common grounds around, but also the 8 Hartrue courts get watered every night.
Ah, okay. At the time that's addressed, will, excuse me, water fountains be able to be addressed?
That won't be at the same time. You would not want to drink our irrigation.
That-
That needs to be, that's a water main project. Yeah.
The next item is the walk path behind the turf field. That's something that everyone asked, and we're really anticipating that one. So just will be very brief, but there is that work currently underway today. We've had the trucks and the crew fully busy working on that. And again, the plan is to connect the path to Bristow and upgrade the walkway to the flexi pave, just like we have in Irwin Park. So then, Tidy provided that update. The last item I have, again, just keeping an eye on liquid garbage disposal. I mean, during our walkthrough, we noticed something a bit unusual. I saw some garbage close to the bathrooms, next to the bathroom doors. I personally have never seen that there. I have participated in the tennis program, so people use the courts, use the bathrooms, use the apple cart. So I've never seen it there. So the season just started. The apple cart has the garbage cans, the bathrooms have garbage cans. So, we're just gonna keep an eye on that. Garbage disposal is always monitored, especially in this time of the year, during summer when the park has more visitors.
Right.
So again, I don't think it was a big concern, something was unusual, but, we'll keep an eye on that because it's something that, helps to enjoyment of everyone. If we keep the park and the playgrounds, as we found it, right, when we go, right, and we should all just be mindful of that. So other than that, I don't have any other updates and, John can tell you if you have any questions.
I have one question. We talked about the dugouts for the grass field. What's happening with that? Because we thought they were gonna be an eyesore.
Well, if you remember, they had to come back before any construction or anything like that, and they haven't. I think they're focusing their resources on Copple Field
Okay,
with baseball groups, so.
thank you.
Yeah, makes sense. Any questions for Melanie?
No, good
Yeah,
report.
thank you.
Great report, thank you. So, next is Mill Pond, Hank Francesca.
Go on, Hank. Yeah, you do it and you pass out.
This is going to
Stuff.
Okay, but, Francesca and I, walked around the park last week. And when we both finished our walk around the park, we both said the same thing to each other. We said, this park has never looked better. And that's the headline, guys. It looks great. I wish we could have something to complain about to you. We couldn't find anything to complain about. It's beautifully kept up. There are people using it. There are people fishing. There were kids running around. There were a lot of ducks and what kind of bird was that we saw?
Cormorant, thank you.
Cormorant, yes.
Yes,
So
they were doing a lot of fishing during the fishing derby.
They were.
They caught more fish than the kids did.
I've seen people fish there just on random times when I go by.
It's so much fun to see.
It is.
Yeah, there was 400 fish put in there for the fishing. derby.
Maybe there's a few that survived.
Oh, they definitely survived.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but.
So it's a great park unless you want to say something about the fishing derby. How many people were there, et cetera.
The fishing derby was successful. It wasn't the nicest day, so that kept the turnout down, but kids did catch some fish. Not as many as you'd like to see them catch, but yes, it went very well.
Yeah.
We've done this report a number of years in a row and the Lions structure is back there. Is combined, it is looking beautiful. You had it painted, you prepared the stone wall, you put the, we were complaining about the benches having fallen down. The place does not look in disrepair. It looks like a nicely maintained park and the grass is cut back all along the banks, so it's nice looking, and that little island that sits out there that had all this debris kind of caught on it from the water moving was cleaned off, so we were really very happy.
Great job, whatever you do. You can-
Okay.
And also
Nature took the debris there, took it away too.
I guess, next.
Is there any questions about, Mill Pond or? Anyway, I mean, you guys, or should we go on to Kiwanis? Kiwanis, okay. Steve and Francesca.
Okay, I'll
Thank you.
start. And I had PowerPoint, after 30 years in the corporate world, you get a little PowerPoint happy, so sorry about that. You all know Kiwanis Park, it holds a pond which is currently drained, which I was gonna ask about. Can you tell us about why it's drained?
We drain the pond every spring. Actually, when I say we, sewer plant, because they have the pumps to take care of it. We drain it down so we can clean it out before the season.
Okay.
And
So
then we add sand to the beach area.
and when will it be refilled? Obviously sometime between now and then.
Yes.
Okay. There's a playground and a basketball court. We'll get into more later. It's a great park if you have little children, because as Margaret mentioned, there's the gentle slope into the water. And it is a kind of a beach setting, a little rustic, but it's really nice. And there's a number of outbuildings there, which we don't really go through. I'm on the second page, which is the yearly update. A lot of this information you've seen before. It's the 2023 Kiwanis usage numbers. 680 residents, 72 non-resident, 752 total, which I think was pretty darn good. I guess we don't have yet, obviously, the 2024 numbers, but if we can stay with these numbers, even if we don't grow, I think that would have been a big success for the park. And then I have just some more data here, and then we'll move on to the improvements, which is done, Jeff.
Yeah, the planted trees, last time we reported, a couple of them had died, those have been replaced. The new fence around the playground went up and it's all operational and doing well. The Sandy Beach, they had removed some, trees on the north side and put sand down, and that, has stayed maintained and enlarged the sandy part of the beach for the kids to play on. The trailways through the woods were improved. The roofed pavilion was repaired in the spring of 2023, so it's already been here. But these are all, because I think we're going to now experience a sort of onslaught of complaints. I want you to see what it has been, addressed. A lot of things have been addressed. The basketball court was not repaved and relined, but we did request that. Is there a plan for that to happen?
That's in the capital budget that will be, if they approve it, if it stays the same, it would be in for next year. So July of 2025.
After the summer?
Would be when the money would be available,
Okay.
if it stays approved.
And the parking lot, the paved part of the parking lot, because there's a lot of it that's gravel, was lined.
And we lined some of the gravel parking lot to help with the Y camps, with drop offs and pickups.
And John has the beast patrol under control, as we all just heard. So that's really important because stepping on goose poo is a big deal there. The basketball court we just talked about, so that's gonna be 2025.
Yeah, the words in italic are drawn in simple.
Okay. Are those, we're waiting for, donations for wooden benches, Keith?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I'll try and get
Uh,
maybe George and I will work on one.
As far as I know, there's no approval for water bottle stations. Is that true, John?
Now, we have no plan at this point in time.
It would be great to have it in there, so.
There is a fountain during the season down on the bathhouse. There's a fountain.
The left
And
side.
then there's also a fountain on the new pavilion, the town pavilion on the left-hand side.
Well, there's also the bathrooms,
The bathroom.
and the water there is drinkable. Right?
That's definitely potable water, yes, in both cases.
The scrub brush by the drain, I believe, was removed.
Let's go.
Oh, we talked about the path with
Well-
Tiger at the beginning.
Yeah, and you missed the food, so we had suggested installing vending machines. One would say drinks, and one would say healthy kind of food. In lieu of the fact that we haven't been able to get a catering truck to park out there. So we thought, well, you get a couple of good vending machines, that'll really cover 80% of what people want and need for their little outings in Kiwanis Park. So how does that stand, John?
I haven't done a thing with it, to be completely honest with you. And, you know, over the winter, we had two food establishments that were interested, and as time went on, they weren't interested.
It's the volume.
It's the volume, it's exactly the issue. Once they start looking into it and everything, they don't.
Well, that's what we gotta do. I think the vending machines make sense, because you can get, the stuff that vends can sit there for like, weeks. A report has to be maintained.
Steve, I don't mean to be facetious, but all the vending machines with healthy food with, right, or is it just all candy?
No, I would do the healthy food.
No, but these things
Yes,
exist.
they exist.
They
Oh,
do,
yeah,
they do.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Granola bars or.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all versions of granola bar.
It's probably the only solution to our food problem there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I think that's,
yeah, it's just something, even if it's a pack of peanuts, right? And then have, you know, what I would call a Coke machine, but it doesn't all have Coca-Cola, it has, you know, water and carbonated drinks, and things like that. I think that would just be a great ad at very little cost to the town.
Would we ever consider like a locker freezer or something? I mean, my children have been lifeguards down there, I know they're not overworked at Kiwanis, but like where you would have. Where there could be like ice cream or something like that, where, you know, that would be like a very easy sale, but for like young kids.
Steve tried some of that.
He did.
And there's some issues with, you know, being certified food
Health or-
operators, et
okay.
cetera,
Okay.
yeah.
I just didn't know,
Not
like,
a
you
way that I'd like
basically
to
were like,
go.
oh,
I'm afraid that it would be a problem for us to manage and do it right.
So it's either the vending machines or getting a service to come in and do it like the Apple Cart guy. Right?
And anybody that's interested doesn't stay interested. The reality that there's not enough traffic. If we put a splash pad down there, you know, a big water park type thing, oh, they'd definitely be interested in it because you'd have a lot of usage.
Yeah.
We change it all around.
We also, our vending machine is, good idea. So, we covered the new tab,
We did.
and then, we want to remove the 2 trees.
The 2 trees that still have poison ivy on them are there leading into the roadway. One across from the nursery school and one, at where you put the 2 blue, sawhorses.
Yeah, and what John responded is that the tree board looked at the value of those, said they're healthy, so you're not gonna take them down. So we actually need just a little maintenance to pull down
The poison ivy.
yeah, or else the good version of Roundup.
is there such a thing? I
Oh,
don't think so.
Yeah, there's a special version to kill poison ivy. Because it kills it to the root, because you can rip it down and then we'll just start growing the next day. So you really need something like Roundup or something else that.
Okay.
Okay, that's,
Thank you.
that covers it, because we did the last page is the like.
Flag. Any questions?
I think that person, one is that you know, one is about the deep petrol,
I'm sorry.
the deep petrol, we've mentioned.
Yeah, we mentioned that, yeah.
Before John, so just keep in mind that there's a lot of things also around the high school running track and that sort of area next to where kids play soccer.
Yep.
So that is also something that we
Right.
encountered. Did you think about using the same?
We actually, come July 1st, we have money in the budget, we put in, I believe, $10,000 to be able to do some geese control at both Saks and the high school.
Oh, great.
Similar type thing. In this case, it will not eliminate the geese completely, because they're coming.
Yeah.
They're going to the buffet, they're just there to eat.
Yeah.
And it's nice grass that way, so it will not eliminate them completely, but it will help move them. We'll hopefully chase them to like Darien or something like that.
Exactly.
And then that's group instead of the.
Yeah, oh no, it will help a lot, but that we did put in the budget and it was
Right.
approved, so
Oh, wonderful.
Do we know if Darien uses geese control?
I have no idea.
I'm sure they
That'd
do.
be interesting.
They'll end up
Let's
like,
check
they'll end up.
The hour's getting late. Can we just stay on the agenda? Is there any other questions for Francesca and Keith regarding Kiwanis? Okay.
Oh, I did want to say the equipment, the playground equipment seems to be in good shape. I'm not an expert.
Okay. Thank you both. John, on to you.
I'm gonna be very quick. I kept crossing up stuff as we went along because we talked about it. So, the disc golf tournament, went very well. They had almost 70 people on April 20th, so they were very happy with that. Our spring soccer program, we've doubled the number of kids. Spring soccer hasn't been as popular, but, we doubled the number of kids in that program, so we're very happy about that. We're purchasing new volleyball standards, I guess, and net for Kiwanis Park that we hopefully will have in by the summertime. Just got the purchase order for that. Of course, the pool's getting ready. They're paving the parking lot tomorrow as long as the weather holds. And other than that,
Yeah.
we're good.
It all looks great.
Any questions for John? Okay.
Sorry, just along the volleyball, would you guys ever consider putting volleyball like other places, like adjacency to the pool or something like that? It's probably too crowded
We don't have a good-
within it, but,
Within the pool, we don't have
Yeah, I
room for it
know.
in there. And
but
then-
like,
And then we're, you know, we have to come across the roadway and everything else, so I don't
Yeah.
think it would, in that case, work well with the. Because we would have everybody going out the main gate, going all the way around, so I don't think it'd be used there.
okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like teams would use it, but Kiwanis is not really a place that they're going.
We're hoping this is gonna help them. You know, since we already have it there, we actually had one resident that has, younger daughters and they're playing beach volleyball. And, you know, and then when we went and looked at what we have there, it's time to upgrade it, so.
We need somebody to start a league.
Yeah.
Like they do at the beaches.
And that's what we're gonna try to do.
Yeah,
From
and
the
I
fall,
wasn't
we're gonna try to
necessarily
have a little
thinking,
beach volleyball league.
Like
program.
beach, but just even like if you had one, you know, within Waveney somewhere or Mead or somewhere where they could, you know. Use it for grass, yeah.
Good comments. Any questions for John? Okay, we'll move on to myself. I will be really brief. Thank you all for the excellent reports tonight. Really appreciate your time and efforts on that. Our next meeting will be on Wednesday, June 12th. Okay, and that is it. So if are there any comments from the public?
Yes.
Betty has,
Okay.
Yes.
Betty?
Hi, how you doing? Betty Lavostik, 69 Old Norwalk Road. I'm gonna circle back to Kiwanis, just for benefit of everybody on the Park and Rec Commission. John, can you mention how the Y is addressing their issue with pickup? In particular, their parking staff or their staff members park by the pavilion and also by the Porta Sand. And the issue with parking by the handicap spots under the Moreno tree and in no parking zones. And I'm talking staff by the pavilion and the Porta Sand, and the parents are the ones that double park and all that. Will they have somebody directing traffic during that pickup period, that 25 minutes or so?
Hi Betty, it's Keith. I gave your comments to Margaret. Unfortunately, I gave them to her too late for her to be ready to respond at this meeting. So, she has your whole write-up and she's gonna come back to us.
Okay, that sounds good. And then another comment that I had with John met with my husband and myself in mid-April to discuss issues with Kiwanis, and it concerns people who are going into the playground and not passing the gate attendants. So I suggested to John that we put up signs on those 3 or 4 gates that lead from the playground into the beach. That says something like a beach pass is required between, I don't know, June 15th and August 15th. And just
Simplify it, we put no beach access, the signs have been ordered, we're.
Okay, that sounds good.
Come in.
And then the other issue is people passing the gate attendant and really not getting scanned in.
Yep.
There were terrific signs at the pool that are really noticeable and says everybody must have a pool pass to go through the gate. And, you know, I think that would help and it would drive up the numbers at Kiwanis. And aside from that, thank you very much, John, for addressing the update on the memberships. So I saw that this evening, and thank you.
Thank you, Betty, appreciate it.
All right, have a good night, folks.
Business to conduct tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Francesca.
Francis, proposer, seconder, Susan. Okay. All those in favor? Thanks, guys. All right. We're not bad.